Welcome to another episode of Savagetimetv. I'm your host, AB Bisley, and today I have special guest Miyana with me today. How you feeling?
Good.
That's
You?
good. I'm good. We got out here on an early morning. It's good. We're out here in Atlanta, here in Castleberry Hills. Before we get started, could you tell everybody that doesn't know where you're from?
I am from Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, you're from Kentucky?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Born and raised.
Okay, born and raised in Kentucky. Kentucky has some interesting things out there. There's some interesting stories I've heard. Especially, I was watching there's a Netflix. It's on Netflix right now. It's about a guy who was like, I guess they have bourbon out there.
That's where it's from.
Whiskey's a big thing. And this guy, there was a very limited edition. It's called like Pappy Van Winkle. And it was like a big thing. He ended up like stealing all this liquor from there and making all this money.
I wouldn't doubt it. Bourbon is from, if it's not from Kentucky, it's not bourbon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So do you like to drink bourbon, or do you have a...
My dad collects bourbon, but I don't really have a specific. I think they don't all taste the same, but they all do the same thing.
Absolutely.
But they're good. I don't have like if I'm at a bar, I'm probably going to just get Maker's Mark. Just call it a day.
Okay, Maker's Mark. I got on the Maker's Mark when I was in Australia before. It's very sweet. Yeah, it got the candle. It dips like the candle, the red candle,
the red
right?
on top. Yeah, it's cute.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. What brought you to Atlanta?
Actually, I lived here in middle school. Okay. So my mom lived here while I was in high school and college, and I just knew I didn't want to stay back at home because I wanted to write. So I came here because I felt like it was a place for Black creatives to thrive. So as soon as I graduated from college, I packed up everything I could in my car, and I moved here with no plan, just a dream.
Okay. And congrats, you graduated from?
UK, University of Kentucky.
Oh, okay. All right. That's
Go Wildcats.
Okay. So you going to your basketball games?
Yes, I did. My freshman year, we won the championship with Anthony Davis.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope. That's a great experience.
Yeah, it was fun.
Okay, yeah, that's dope. I'm trying to think. Was that the year when Drake was shooting in the warm-ups?
Yes, and then that same year is when he released "Take Care" and he had the concert in Rupp Arena.
And I'm guessing you were.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Miss it for the world.
I'm new to Atlanta as well. I kind of moved here for the same reason, to link with creatives. Can you tell me one thing you like and one thing you dislike about Atlanta?
Okay, one thing I like about Atlanta, there's something for everybody. You can literally be the most niche type of person and find your community, and Black. I just love that it's a lot of Black people where I'm from. It's mixed, but heavily one way than the other.
I say Kentucky, I don't think
yeah, well, Louisville is different from the rest of the state.
Out to Bryson Tiller.
Yeah, and Jack Harlow and ESTG. Shout out to all of them.
Yeah.
But I like it because it's heavy Black and it's heavy for us, so you can find something to do no matter what your interests are. You'll find it, and I like that. What I don't like, horrible customer service. Jeez,
okay, talk about it.
But I'm like one of those people, if I'm gonna spend money that I don't want to spend, make it easy for me to spend that money. Right. And just, you get the worst customer service ever here. But I mean,
the worst?
The worst.
Okay, I've only been here for like a month and a half. But
oh no, I've
been lucky so far.
The worst customer service I've ever experienced in my life.
Okay, you standing on that.
They might fight you over the counter. You never know, depending on the day. But that's it. That's like traffic.
I don't know. I feel like me coming from the north, the traffic to me isn't bad because it's bad, but at least there's room and it's moving.
There is room. Now, if I had to weigh customer service and traffic, it would still be here. Like customer service.
So you must have had some experience. You must have had to hold yourself back.
I've been here almost 6 years.
Okay.
So.
Do you miss anything from back home?
Yeah.
What was that?
Well, it was a very, like, the bars, the food, it's just like one of those, you would be surprised if you went there. It's very creative. It's very like niche. Like, it's just, any bar I go into, I'm like, this is the best place I've ever been in my life. Like, video games and live bands and good food, partying all night, cheap, good drinks. It's fun.
It sounds like kind of what people describe to me, like how Nashville is.
Yeah, but probably a little less Nashville-y.
Okay, so it's even more. So it's even more a little slower.
No.
What's Nashville mean? You could say
Country.
Oh, okay. Country.
Like Louisville, if Kentucky is this circle, all Louisville is here where all the black people went.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
glad to know that.
Yeah.
So now I know to just maybe go past Nashville and go to Louisville first.
Absolutely. If you want a good like small Chicago, St. Louis, Memphis feel, go to Louisville.
Okay, then I definitely gotta check that out.
You should.
I'm definitely going to because
I think you would actually enjoy yourself.
I'm thinking about Nashville because people told me about Nashville and Gatlinburg and places like that, but I never thought of Louisville. Then you brought up, I said Bryson Tiller. I forgot that Jack Harlow and his TGs from out there.
Yep.
Y'all definitely got some things coming up out there.
I mean, it's we're finally getting our moment. So I'm proud to say that's where I'm from.
All right. And have you always been a creative? Would you say?
Yes, but I didn't always know it.
Okay. And when did you start? I know you do poetry. You're a songwriter. You put events together. When would you say you started to take being a creative seriously?
Well, my father got me my first journal when I was 14. So I still have them, all of them to this day. And I got into the habit of writing every day. After school, I would come to my journal and talk to my journal like it was my best friend. So once I got to college, I didn't really do much in high school, but hang out with my friends. I wasn't really active. So when I got to college, I decided I wanted to be active. And that's when I took on my role as the event coordinator for the Black Student Union. And that was the biggest organization on campus. And I took that role.
Yeah.
But then I actually was good at it. So, and then I started my senior year doing poetry events, like just in the city with like the locals where nobody knew me, and I was good. And then I just started writing poetry, but I still wasn't comfortable enough to release it. But when I moved here, I decided that I was gonna like do something with it eventually. So I released my first like body of work, just a piece that I made a video to, and it got like 10,000 views in like a week, and I was just like, what is this? So I decided like, okay, let's make an album, and it did well, and that's how I got my songwriting job. And then
okay, so you got hired as a songwriter, so it's something you do as
an A&R found me,
and
dope. Asked me to come to a session with one of my artists, Sean Hendricks. Shout out to Sean.
Shout out to Sean.
Yeah, and he just kind of he heard my EP, my poetry EP. He was basically told me, if you can write poetry, you can write songs. And I was like, are you sure? You know, I'm just like, I don't think so. But I went to a session and ended up contributing to like a verse, and it was good. So they asked me to come back, and then before I knew it, I was there every 3 days a week. Okay.
And the EP, I'm guessing, was a collection of you speaking your poetry?
Yeah, so I knew that I didn't want to be like a poet, like, you know, and I saw the trees, and, you know, I know I didn't want to do that, because that's not, I'm a very, like, when it comes to my public life, I can be a little more mellow and private, so I wanted that to reflect in my work. So I reached out to a producer because my my dad's side of the family is very musical. Like every Christmas we would record songs and play instruments and sing, and so I always had that music background. So I reached out to a producer, and I actually asked him to just create sounds in the background of me. I didn't find out until I told somebody in the industry how I recorded, to find out that it was not the regular way people record. I record a cappella, just me, because I don't want to be influenced by any sounds, because it's literally how I feel, and the emphasis is on the words. That's why I like poetry, because I have something to say. And I would sit with my producer, and we would make a beat to kind of emphasize my voice and not the other way around. So I would record, and then we just kind of was like, let's do more than just talk. Like, so if you listen to my EP, every song has music behind it, an actual beat, not much percussion, but like sounds and modulations and things like that to emphasize like what I'm saying. So it ended up being a body of work. I had like 5 pieces that I believe on my first EP, Confused Queen, and yeah, we just produced to it, and we didn't really have a goal. We just did it, and it ended up.
That definitely is interesting. So you basically lay down your words first, and then you bring the production in later.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about the term ghostwriter?
Every time I tell somebody that I've like written songs or I'm a songwriter as well, they say, "Oh, so you're a ghostwriter," and I'm like, "Well, no, because I get credit."
Right. Exactly.
But,
that's what I'm saying.
I don't know. Be like it. Once you're in that like position, you realize how much the writer is important. Like the writer is.
You say it.
The most important. Like, you know, if you're writing, and sometimes you have the artist that writes the song too. But being in a position where you're actually providing the words, it's like ghostwriter is a little disrespectful because it's just like they deserve the world. Like, you know, they're pouring their own experiences into somebody else. So it's just like, you know, writers, like ghostwriter just seems so like undercover and like small, when really like I feel like writers should have like their own Grammys, like just writers, because it's such a different position and you have to be really firm in yourself to do that, to be able to pour into somebody else knowing that you're creative yourself. So I feel like ghostwriter, like I would never call my favorite writer a ghostwriter.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to ask that just because I know some people, like it comes up and you're like, well, I always wanted to know, is that something that a songwriter aims for? Like, do they want to be a ghostwriter, or is that something that is just like a term that's been loosely thrown around?
Loosely thrown, I feel like.
How do you feel about songwriters' place in music right now, just in the overall music scene?
I feel like songwriters are starting to kind of like branch out into their own artistry, and I really like to see it. Like most of our favorite like songs are written by somebody else. So, and it's nice to see songwriters like get deals. I hope I'm saying her name right, Nyjah. She writes for Beyonce. Like she just got signed as an artist, and I love that for her because she has written so many hits in these past years. But I feel like a lot of songwriters are starting to like really dive into their own artistry, and I love that for them.
Okay, yeah, I definitely agree. I know a friend of where I'm from, Derek Milano. I don't know if you ever heard him before. He's written some songs. He actually won the last Grammys. He actually won his first Grammy.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty dope. He's from Delaware. And I was just like, it's crazy that it seems like people that are from behind that you usually don't see, like producers, songwriters, are starting to get their limelight now. Like people are kind of taking into account that when you hear a song, it's like a really big team effort.
It's a team. Like the songwriter can't do it without the artist. The artist, you know, needs the songwriter, the producer. You know, everybody is. It's a real like team effort. Like
it's definitely, people are starting to get their credits now. Who would you say is your favorite songwriter, except for yourself, of course? Truthfully, I am biased, but Frank Ocean, he is my out. Yo, he's headlining Coachella 2 years from now. That's crazy. To me, that's wild.
I would give my arm and leg to see him live. Like
for real, it's like that.
It's like that. He is phenomenal. The way that he like takes big concepts and makes them into like, you have to listen to something that he writes like 5 times before you even get the small ounce of what he's writing. And he writes most of it, like all of his music. I can go on and on. He's my absolute favorite artist. Like I like
the song Nikes, and there's another song. It's like a crazy transition on it. Nights. There you go. Yeah, and
people don't even know that in the in the middle of Nights, when that song transitions, he purposely transitioned it right at that second because that's the midpoint of the album, and it's supposed to signify his transformation from the top to the bottom. Come on, you you just gotta get into it.
I
But
didn't
that's
even
my
peep
favorite
that.
songwriter for sure.
Okay. Just keeping it on the music tip. I don't know if you've heard. Did you hear Donda or CLB this weekend?
I heard CLB. I listened partially to Donda.
Okay. I was hoping you said the opposite. I hope you were saying that you listen to Donda thoroughly, but it's okay.
Sorry.
So if you had to choose, it sounds like you go with Certified Lover Boy for sure.
Yeah, but also,
you liked it?
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, but again, bias. I've been a diehard Draker since I was like 11.
Oh, okay. So you're already in the fold.
Yeah, it's like I would get teased when I was in high school and middle school because Drake wasn't always cool.
That's true.
You know,
so for you, it's probably special to see it get all the way to this
like
point.
I'm gonna give him. I don't care if he releases a silent album. I'm gonna stream it.
Okay.
That's just how I feel.
Poetry on Peter. Can you tell us what that's about?
So before the pandemic, I was just getting into having my poetry shows. I started them in Louisville, actually.
Okay.
But the pandemic happened. I had to stop. But I got the opportunity to have a biweekly event at Peter Street Station. So it's basically an opportunity for creatives with a specific focus on spoken word and poetry artists to come and perform. There's a live band, hookah, drinks. It's just something that I curated to have a space for my community. I feel like poetry is kind of a lost art that we're just now starting to embrace again, and I just wanted to create the space. And I was happy because most people that come are first-time performers or people that have always been interested but scared, but it's a really nice, fun, free, creative space for poets, really.
Yeah, that's all. That's all. It was dope. I was it reminded me of a tiny desk.
And it does. I was so happy when it finally came together because it's exactly how people feel when they're up there, and the live band just adds the.
Yeah, it looks like it's kind of the acoustics would be real good in there. So I know it sounds good in there.
Yeah. The bookshelf on the stage.
Yeah, so make sure you guys check that out.
Please, every other Monday at 8:30, Peter Street Station.
Okay. Can you tell us a hurdle that you had to overcome during your journey as a creative or, as a songwriter?
Comparison is a thief of joy. And comparing myself to other creatives that were around me that had more experience probably was the biggest hurdle. Just myself, my own anxieties. It takes a lot of courage to especially poetry because there's so much emphasis on words. It takes a lot of courage to open yourself up to the masses and allow them to interpret you whatever way that they feel. And I feel like my biggest hurdle, I sat on Confused Queen for a year just to get over the fear of not being accepted. So I feel like just the vulnerability of letting people into yourself, it's very hard. I see people struggle with it with people that they've known their whole life. So to write something that was so true, every single story that I wrote was true from the top to the bottom, and I wrote them all myself. And to release that to the world and just leave it there forever, it takes a lot of courage and vulnerability. So really the biggest hurdle was myself and my own fears.
Okay. Well, it seems like you've gotten much better with it. I'm glad you got
better
through that so that everybody can hear your art. But yeah, I definitely relate to that. I tell people all the time, my interviews, I don't even listen to them because I just don't even want to, because it seems weird.
It's just all
right, y'all can just have it and then that's just what it is.
Do it again.
And poetry is you don't want to put yourself out there and then somebody you have to understand that people may not feel the way you feel about it and stuff like that. I can only imagine, especially what you said, poetry.
Yeah.
Let's get into mental health. I think that's always important. Can you tell me what your definition of mental health is and how do you keep your mental health on the up and up?
My definition of mental health. I would say, it's funny, I was just reading last night that's something that has a lot to do with your mental health. The absence of fear and replacing it with faith. I feel like that's just mental health. Putting yourself first and living in the present moment. Not too far in the past to where you're sad about things that you did or didn't do. Not too far in the future to where you're anxious about what could or could not happen. just like being right here in the now. I feel like that's what mental health is all about, like choosing yourself and knowing yourself well enough to make those choices to where you won't be, you know, inside yourself so much to where you can't even live in the present moment. I feel like that's what mental health is all about. It's just knowing yourself well enough to make decisions that serve you.
Huh?
Yeah.
And what do you do to keep yourself good throughout all this crazy stuff, especially this last year that's been going on?
Yeah. I'm a reader.
Okay,
I
so you
love
like
to read.
Okay.
And I have to journal. Like, I could call one of my friends or my partner and be like, you know, hey, I'm not feeling good. And the first thing they asked me was, when's the last time you wrote? And I'm like, well, I haven't journaled in about 2 weeks. And they're like, right. And I always feel better afterwards. I like to go on walks. I like to hang out with my friends and family. But like the main thing I would say that keeps my mental in check is heavy reading, writing, and just like meditating, yoga. When I'm doing those things, I'm at the top of my game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I definitely can relate to the going on walks and getting in there with nature, energy, things like that.
That's so important.
I've been thinking about journaling. I've been thinking about getting a journal because I've been thinking to myself, I kind of think about how I create the interviews just with the whole like becoming timeless type thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've always thought like I definitely want to be able to look back and see how I thought on certain days. Because you think when you get older, like you always think you'll be able to remember everything, and then when you get older, you remember, well, I really don't remember how I felt like back then. I got the memory, I don't have the feeling. It's like if I start to journal, it'd probably be easier to do that. So I definitely can relate to that. What are your upcoming goals, projects for the next year or to finish out this year?
Well, projects wise, I'm in and out of the process of creating my 30p. I actually have it kind of done. I'm just
it's already in the
I'm just kind of still getting to know it. Like if I want to add, if I want to take away, trying to create videos for it and stuff like that. But and also I guess my events, I want to actually expand. So once Poetry on Peter gets like, it's already on its feet, but once it gets a little more cemented, I want to go back home. Home is really important, like creating that space back at home, because I didn't have it when I was growing up. So I want to be able to do Poetry on Peter basically at home.
Okay.
Events are kind of like my baby, just like poetry. So kind of doing the two, merging the two together. But hopefully within the next year, my 30p is out. Videos are out. I have about 3 or 4 events that I'm juggling that are maintaining themselves. And that's really financial freedom. You know?
Of course. Hey, yeah, no,
that's always a goal. But yeah, just more events, poetry events, spoken word events, wellness workshops are my kind of thing, and my EP, being out, performing it, making people cry.
Okay, yeah, okay. That's dope. And what would be your message to the youth about following their dreams if you could give them one?
Just do it. Don't wait. You never know if you don't try. Don't share your dreams with everybody, because everybody will not understand what you want to do or even be able to think at the capacity you can. Like I remember when I was telling people that I wanted to do poetry, and I could see it in their face, like, you know, the doubt. But sometimes people are just not able to think as big or as far into the future as you can. So just, you know, keep your dreams to yourself. Tell your 1 or 2 trusted people and just do it. Release it, and you'll be surprised. I always tell myself there are billions of people in the world. If just 1% of them could relate to what I do or were fans of mine, do you know how many people that is? Like even 0.5%. So just do it, because there's always somebody that needs it, and there's always somebody that'll support it. Like, and that's it. Just do it.
Okay. All right. And where can all your new fans find you at? Follow you.
They can follow me at Miyana TL on Instagram, and Miyana the Writer on Twitter.
Okay. Well, this is a dope interview. Again, thank you for coming to the platform.
Thank you for having having me.
This is dope. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. This is your host, AB Grizzly. Another episode of Savage Time TV. See you guys soon. Peace.